What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about Palantir and the earnings that are coming up. So I have done a lot of digging into Palantir. I've been following this stock for a very long time, and I've actually been talking about this stock for over a year on this YouTube channel. And by the way, thank you so much for 230,000 subscribers. I'm so proud our community is growing. So if you do subscribe or smash the like button, I am always very, very appreciative. Now with Palantir, again, this stock, I have a feeling that it's going to be a very interesting earnings event. That's what I'm going to say, because when I look online, what's going on, there is a lot of hype. There's a lot of people getting really excited. I mean, if I look at Yahoo Finance and we take a look at Palantir, this stock is going ballistic. I mean, everyone is talking about the earnings, and I think for, honestly, good reason. If you take a look at their earnings report in previous quarters, the stock really does move a lot because it is at that stage where becoming cash flow positive is making a very big difference for financial analysts on Wall Street to actually make some projections. So, for example, if I go to the financials, I want to show you that basically, the total revenue has been obviously rising, but if I go to the cash flow statement, this is really important because, for a long time, Palantir was in the negative numbers, and then, as it becomes more positive, this is really a big deal for the company. I mean, Alex Karp, the CEO, he has a big bet on AI. I mean, there's a lot of technology here. And just in general, riding this trend makes a lot of sense. Now, I believe that this stock can head up to $50 per share in the future, but as to when it will happen, I am not sure. And I'm in that camp of investors. If you look on YouTube, a lot of people are saying, this stock's going to go to the moon tomorrow and you have to buy it before the earnings. I'm in the camp of I am fairly neutral in the short term and very bullish in the long term. So what I want to look at is actually the options because, well, for Palantir, I think there's a lot of interesting option plays. In the past 3 months, the stock is up 142%, which is obviously a lot. Had you bought some call options, I mean, you'd be up multiple times your money. I mean, maybe 5 or 10 times on your money. So for example, if we look at the options, okay, I want to look at some different plays. Now, I'm kind of more of the neutral camp. So I want to just give you different plays, whether you're bearish, bullish, or you're neutral, because I think there's way too many bulls right now. Again, I like this stock, but at the same time, when I see so many bulls, when I see a lot of content creators pumping the stock, in some ways, it does scare me because I've seen this happen over and over on YouTube where people will talk about the hottest stocks, right? Kathy Wood plays, big growth stocks. And of course, sometimes they're right, but oftentimes they're wrong. And many content creators don't really have a clue on what the actual fundamentals or technicals are, even though they say they do. So for me, I'd rather be very cautious because the market is a fairly random game. And instead of me coming on this video and telling you 10 different facts about Palantir, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. Does it really matter that some other person on YouTube is giving you 10 to 15 facts about Palantir and why he thinks it's going to go up? I mean, it's cool. It gives you conviction and motivation, but does really conviction and motivation and outside sources and just facts mean that the stock itself is going to go up? Because at the end of the day, the stock is going to rise based on humans, human emotion. So even if it has good earnings, the stock could still go down, and vice versa. You could have bad earnings, but Alex Karp could say something on the earnings call that could just really excite investors. And because this is more of a trend stock, I think just playing options is more interesting because you can have a small risk and a really big reward. So again, I've actually taken a look at some, Reddit posts, and obviously people are making some YOLO plays. They're buying call options, and let me just tell you what I would and would not do. Okay, so first off, buying call options. Obviously, the earnings are very, very soon, so even August 11th is fine, right? Because on August 11th, that will capture in earnings. Now you can see right here that the call option, the 18.5, is going for $1.34. So that is pretty expensive, to be honest. That is almost 10%. So obviously the options are pricing in a wow, just wow, okay? 163% volatility, and the volume is 6,400. So, I don't like buying options. I don't like buying call options. I don't like buying put options. I don't like buying debit spreads in general. I'm more of a boring investor. But look, this Palantir stock has a lot of social momentum. What I mean by social momentum is if you just YouTube Palantir earnings, there's so many videos that just have tons of views. Like right away. And to me, that tells me that a lot of people are going to be fairly emotional. And that is the key, emotional about this stock. Most people don't really understand the technology behind Palantir. Even if you read about it and watch videos, there is still a lot of technical innovation, which is a good thing, that's happening that we might not fully understand unless you actually work inside the company. And that's why so many people that work at Palantir get so much stock options, right? But you can see people promising you like $1,000 on Monday. I don't think that's true because there is no guarantee to investing. So I wouldn't, like me personally, I wouldn't write $1,000, right? Some people are saying that the stock is good, and they say the stock is bad, and then they say the stock is good. I've seen that a lot. Why I never sold Palantir. Some buyer's remorse here, or seller's remorse, however you say it. But just in general, you can see that there is a lot of social velocity. Palantir being a very, very hot topic and an urgent topic, and for good reason. Again, Q2 earnings are going to do something good or something bad. That's the thing, guys. Some people will say, oh, it's going to do good. Some people are going to say it's going to do bad. For me, I don't know. And because I don't know, I'd rather play options. So for example, I don't know if it's going to go up, but since I don't know, I don't want to dump a lot of money into Palantir, especially as it has gone up a lot. And actually, if you look at my history, I'm going to show you my history in just a couple of minutes. I just want to go over the options. I'm going to actually show you what I've been doing on Palantir. But right here, this call option is breaking even at 1982. So the stock would have to go up to about $20 for you to see really that much benefit. So this is something that I would do. I'll be honest, I would, because the stock can pop up by 20%. That could happen. But again, not a huge return because the implied volatility is massive. So Palantir is already factoring in and already pricing this in to the options. However, I do have a solution for this, but anyways, this is what I would do. I would buy an at the money option or even the 18. So as you see, the more in the money I go, the break even does come down, and that's because you do have higher risk. It is a higher amount of premium. So I actually think if you're a bull on Palantir, that it would make a lot of sense to buy an in the money option. Look, even a $16 call option right here has a little bit lower volatility because it's in the money, right? The volume is still pretty good. The open interest is also, pretty high, and it has a high delta. So right here, you'll have a big benefit. You can put up, a small amount of capital, 269, and still get a big benefit of Palantir rising. So that's that. What I would not do, and a lot of people are gonna do this, is I would not buy something like a $24 call option. Like, you're silly. I know the implied volatility is huge, and a lot of people are buying this, but let's just be honest, the stock could pop up 20%, 30%, and you would still lose 100% of your option premium, right? So I would not do this. This just doesn't really make sense to me. And way too many beginner option traders end up doing that. They end up buying call options that are out of the money, and then they lose their money, and sometimes they have a big home run, and then they just lose all the home run money sooner or later anyway. So that is a really bad idea, because after working at Goldman Sachs, I basically know what works, which is just selling options. Some people can say that you can buy and you can, any other strategy, in my opinion, is borderline, scam or borderline just inconsistent. It's just not going to be giving you consistent results. And I just know that for a fact. I've done it myself, and I've seen too many other people do that. And that's the reason why in my Discord community we're successful, is because we try to keep a level head. We're not trying to make $1 million. We're trying to keep a level head and become long-term passive income investors. So this is a strategy I would not do, which is buy out of the money call options, but buying in the money call options, fine. I think that makes a lot of sense for earnings. Okay, in general, no. For earnings, yes. For earnings, I think that is fine, because I have read the research. Buying calls before earnings does do really well. Actually, I have another video on this channel about that. So yes, that is fine. Now, the second thing is, would I do covered calls? Actually, I would. So I think it could make a lot of sense to just buy Palantir stock and say that you're bullish on the company but you don't want to experience all the volatility. You're like, oh, should I buy puts? Should I buy calls? Well, actually, the good news is if you buy 100 shares of the stock, okay, you have some upright or some, capital appreciation that you can make if the stock rises, which is great, right? But let's just say you don't want to experience as much volatility. You think it's going to go up, but, realistically, and in my neutral view, I think the stock could go up, a bit, but it's not going to go up like infinite percentage, right? At some point, it's going to stop. For me, that could be $20, right? And I do think that that's pretty likely that the stock's going to go from like 18 to 20, and it's going to rise, right? But let's just say that you think it's going to rise a bit more. It's going to rise to 21 and a half. Whatever you think it's going to rise, I would sell a covered call. So for example, I would go ahead and sell 21.5. If you think the stock's going to go up to like 21 bucks, you would sell 21.5. Because this option would not really hurt you. In 5 days, you would make $46, which is almost 3%. You would make 3% in 5 days, and the stock would still go up from 18 to 21.50. So that would be like $300 and almost $350 in gains. Huge return, right? You can make a 20% return plus another 3%. So I personally am in the camp of always selling call options. I never really want to wait. I always want to collect premium. So I would sell a call option and create a covered call on Palantir. Just collecting premium in general. I love it. It gets you income, and look, even if you think that Palantir is going to go up to $25, then just sell the $25 covered call. Like, why not collect $15? Okay, now the other strategy that I have talked a lot about on this channel is selling put options. Okay, so selling put options is basically just like selling insurance. You sell a put option, you're telling the market that, hey, I'm convinced or I'm ready to buy this stock, and if you guys are afraid and you want to pay me, if the stock falls down, sure, pay me. Okay, so you could say, hey, at $16, I'm super happy to own Palantir. Okay, so you would open this option up right here. Now, you don't really have to do anything. You just sell it, you make $44 instantaneously, like right away, it goes into your account, and then you just wait and hang out. And in 5 days, if Palantir goes, up, cool. Doesn't really matter. You still get your $44. If it goes nowhere, it goes to $18, you're still going to make your premium. Now, if it goes down to like 17, 16 and a half, everyone's going to be losing money, where you're going to be laughing. You're going to be pretty happy that you made this decision. And this is the exact strategy that I do really enjoy deploying, because when a stock just goes sideways or slightly down, this strategy still wins. It wins if the stock goes up, sideways, or even a little bit down, right? So as long as it doesn't go below 16, you're good. Now, if it does go below 16, look, you're watching this video because you're interested in Palantir. You're probably semi-bullish, right? So if it goes to 16, you have to buy at 16. You're going to be better off than literally every single other person that watches these videos on Palantir, okay? I know a lot of people that are invested in the stock. And heck, I said I would show my history. I have invested in Palantir numerous times, over and over. But I am cautious when the stock is up 142%, because there just has to be a little bit of hype. I don't know how much hype, okay? I like the company, but, I would rather have been, and I was investing when it was $7 per share. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have the shares. I've just been making money by selling put options, which has been, doing pretty well. And actually, I've even sold call credit spreads. So check this out. If you look at this position right here, this call credit spread, okay, I have sold the 21 call, and then I have bought the 23 call. So I have done some spreads. I made $60 here betting that Palantir wouldn't rise. Okay, so for the past few weeks, I haven't really touched this stock because, again, the stock is on the expensive side. At least, I don't know, it could go up higher. It doesn't mean it's a good thing to buy. Just because you're buying something expensive and think it's going to be more expensive doesn't mean it's a good long-term strategy. Okay, it's a good short-term strategy for sure. But still, I'm cautious. I'm really looking to avoid any big volatility in my portfolio. So if I go to my portfolio, actually, I go to like year to date, like, sure, I don't have the most awesome, huge, I do typically have pretty good returns. I'm aiming for like 3 to 4%. I'm always working with people that ideally have over $10,000, that want to get consistent, that want to do this full time, or at least as a strong secondary main income. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. But if you take a look here, my portfolio is up 20%. All right, so could I do better? Yes, I could. I'm trying to get like 50% return per year, or ideally higher. But for me, it's really important that I'm not experiencing volatility. And it's crazy. I know this is going to sound insane, but volatility is on the upside and the downside. So I don't just mean my portfolio doesn't fall a lot, but also doesn't go up a lot, okay? And that is for good reason, because I have part of my portfolio that's more risky plays, where I'm trying to scale small portfolios. Obviously, I have clients that are starting off with $5,000, and we're focusing very hard on spreads. We're focusing on growing a portfolio using spreads. But at the end of the day, spreads are a bit riskier than just the bread and butter strategies that I have of selling puts and covered calls. And, if I have to give up some gain in return for having a very steady straight line upwards, and when the market pulls back, my portfolio still steadily goes upwards, that's more of a guaranteed source of income. And I do this because I want to travel and I want to live a freedom-focused lifestyle. So for me, I'd rather have a portfolio that's slowly rising than a lot of volatility. So we will see what happens with Palantir earnings, but I would play options, and I would use your view and use a certain option strategy like a covered call or a sell put to play out Palantir earnings. I think that's going to make a lot more sense, because with call options, you can, bet a certain amount, a very limited amount, and risk a limited amount of capital. Okay, or with put options, you can buy the stock for lower than it's trading at today. So just in general, options makes more sense on Palantir earnings. So if you're going to be playing Palantir earnings, make sure that you paid attention to this video and watch some of my other videos on option trading.